Hey, what is up everybody, it's Animac here for Anime Uproar, and in this video I will explain all the different races, clans, and factions in the 7 Deadly Sins story and its sequel, the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse. In fact, a new race was just officially introduced in the sequel, and it could be the strongest one yet, so we have a lot to talk about. You guys know the drill. If you enjoy our 7 Deadly Sins videos and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like and comment right now. It only takes you a second, but it helps me out with that YouTube algorithm. And a reminder that well over 50% of you guys who watch our videos are not subscribed to the channel. Do me a big favor and subscribe right now and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Subscribing is completely free, and it's also the only way to make sure that YouTube will actually notify you when we publish another 7 Deadly Sins video. Now, I actually made a video about all the races and clans in 7 Deadly Sins like 5 years ago, but a lot has changed since then, including the release of the sequel, so an extensive update video is long overdue. Let's start it off with the humans, who might seem like the least interesting race because hey, everyone watching this video is probably a human, but humans actually become more important towards the end of the original manga, and their importance continues to grow in the sequel. That's because we eventually learned that all races emerged out of an ancient primordial deity known as Chaos. Chaos created the supreme deity and the demon king first, and from them the goddesses and the demons were born. Chaos then created the sacred tree, out of which the fairies were born. The fourth race to be created were the giants, although their primitive desire to constantly fight each other disappointed Chaos. And so, Chaos decided to create a fifth race, the human race. The humans were incomplete and contradictory beings. They exhibited both kindness and cruelty, bravery and cowardice, love and loathing, beauty and beastliness, and so on. Because of this chaotic nature, the humans were closest to Chaos, and so they were the perfect race as far as Chaos was concerned. This infuriated the Demon King and the Supreme Deity, and they became jealous of the humans. They were afraid that Chaos would turn against them and take away their realms and followers, so they turned against their own creator. They worked together to seal Chaos away, and once they succeeded in that task, they became the two most powerful beings in the world. They became the gods of Britannia. Although humans are usually weaker and have shorter lifespans than members of the other races, they also have by far the largest population. This is partly because the deadly holy war from 3,000 years ago resulted in mass casualties among members of the other races, which dwindled their numbers and forced the survivors to live in isolated, secluded pockets of Britannia. On the other hand, humans spread all over the land of Britannia and established multiple prominent kingdoms. Unlike members of the other races, most humans are born without magic, but they are able to learn or awaken magical powers later on in life. Prominent examples of strong humans include the Holy Knights, mages, and druids, all of whom are able to use powerful magic. And although they are rare, some humans like Bon and Escanor are able to hold their own against even the strongest members of the other races. But to be fair, that is because they both had access to extraordinary magic that normal humans never will. Bon drank from the Fountain of Youth, which made him immortal and allowed him to push his body beyond all human limits. And Escanor possessed Sunshine, a divine grace that once belonged to Mael, the strongest of the 4 archangels. Humans can also become hosts to much more powerful beings, such as when Margaret became a host to Ludoshel, or when Arthur became a host to Chaos itself. In such instances, the person becomes far stronger than a normal human, but their personality seems to change completely, and they are no longer the same person that they once were. We also need to talk about some distinct subgroups within the human race, starting with the Druids. Druids are a group of humans who live deep in the forest, far from ordinary human settlements. They also worship the goddess clan directly, and because of their allegiance to the goddesses, they tend to despise the demon clan. The Druids look like normal humans, although many of them tend to have silver hair or white hair. Unlike most ordinary humans, the Druids are much more in touch with nature, with animals, and with the spirit world. And they are able to perform magical spells and techniques that normal humans cannot. These spells include the ability to heal, as well as the power to destroy dark and corrupt souls, such as the souls of demons. These are all techniques that they share with the goddesses, and it is believed that these techniques were taught to the druids by the goddesses as a reward for their devotion. Another important subgroup of humans are the wizards who once inhabited the city of Belialuin. Belialuin was known as the capital of the wizards, and its inhabitants have been referred to in multiple different ways, including sages, wise men, and wizards. Belialuin is the hometown of Merlin, the boar's sin of gluttony, and in fact she is the last known survivor from the capital of the wizards. The entire city was destroyed by the Demon King and the Supreme Deity during the previous Holy War from 3,000 years ago. At first, we didn't know whether the wizards were a separate race altogether, because Merlin had stated in the past that her true name cannot be pronounced by humans, which kind of implies that she herself may not be human. Nevertheless, in the final arc of the original 7 Deadly Sins, it is confirmed that the inhabitants of Belialuin were in fact human. But they were a special group of humans who were obsessed with researching magic. In fact, they took children who had a particular affinity for magic and experimented on them relentlessly in order to find the ultimate magic power. Merlin herself was one of the children who was experimented on by the wizards. Now let's talk about the giants, who look almost exactly like humans, but they are just much bigger and stronger. Giants are known for their incredible physical power and warrior culture. They tend to value strength, courage, and glory above all things, and the leader of the giant clan is chosen based on which warrior is the strongest. Giants have a close connection to nature and to the earth. In the Holy War that took place 3,000 years ago, the Giant Clan fought alongside the goddesses, fairies, and humans against the Demon Clan. However, an important figure in the history of the Giants, Droll, became a member of the 10 Commandments and was sealed away alongside the demons inside the Coffin of Eternal Darkness. Droll is a legend among the Giants. He invented the sacred dance of the Giants. But after being defeated in battle by Zeldris, Droll decided to join the 10 Commandments, and he became the Commandment of Patience. Despite being a giant, Droll differs from the average giant in appearance because his skin is blue and he has 4 arms instead of 2. Because giants are famous for being fierce warriors, they were often hired as mercenaries and sent to fight in various wars between human kingdoms throughout history. Now initially, we were led to believe that the giants were close to extinction and that there were only a few of them left in Britannia. But both the 7 Deadly Sins Cursed by Light movie and the sequel manga have demonstrated that there are indeed other giants out there that we didn't even see in the original manga. So I'm no longer sure just how endangered they really are. Giants live much longer than humans. In fact, they age about 50 times slower than a regular human. And they also have a special ability called Creation, which allows them to control and manipulate the Earth. Much like the Earthbenders from Avatar: The Last Airbender, giants can use the Earth to form great and powerful weapons that they can then use against their enemies. Then we have the Fairy Clan. Fairies are also very human-like, except they are smaller and have wings that look like the wings of insects. They also have pointy ears and a childlike appearance. Unlike humans and giants, fairies are born from the sacred tree or plants that grow around the sacred tree. As such, they do not have parents, although those fairies who are born from the same plant are considered to be siblings. The fairies have extremely long lifespans, ranging from 1,000 to 1,500 years. Although certain fairies, like Gloxinia's sister Gerheade, can live for over 4,000 years. Fairies have multiple unique abilities, including flying because they have wings, shape-shifting, manipulating plants, and reading the hearts of people in order to determine whether their intentions are pure. Much like the giants, the fairies fought against the Demon Clan during the ancient Holy War. And interestingly enough, just like with Droll and the giants, one of the strongest and most important members of the Fairy Clan eventually became a member of the 10 Commandments. I am referring to Gloxinia, the very first Fairy King, who became the repose of the 10 Commandments and who was also sealed inside the Coffin of Eternal Darkness. Fairies lived peacefully inside the Fairy King's forest for thousands of years, and at one point the Grizzly Sin of Sloth King served as the Fairy King and ruler of the forest. But he eventually left the forest in search of his best friend Helbram, and the task of protecting the forest fell to his younger sister, Elaine. 20 years before the beginning of the story, Bon entered the Fairy King's forest in search of the Fountain of Youth, and he met and fell in love with Elaine. However, The forest was then attacked and destroyed by a red demon. Bon managed to survive because Elaine made him drink from the Fountain of Youth and turned him into an immortal, but Elaine herself was killed and the forest was destroyed. Before she died, Elaine gave Bon a seed that he could use to restore the forest, and some years later he created a new Fairy King's Forest. In the human world, fairy wings are thought to have magical healing properties, and for this reason the wings of a fairy can fetch a very high price. As a result, fairies have sometimes been killed by humans for their wings. Each fairy apparently smells like a specific flower or herb. So for example, King smells like gold osmanthus and Elaine smells like lavender. Next up, let's talk about the goddesses. Members of the goddess clan also look similar to humans, but they do have one distinctive feature that instantly sets them apart. That feature is their large white angelic wings, with lower ranked goddesses tending to have only one pair of wings and higher ranked goddesses having more. The ruler of the goddess clan, the supreme deity who resides in the celestial realm, appears to have at least 5 different pairs of wings. She is also enormous in size, bigger even than the tallest giant. Although the name Goddess Clan can be deceiving, there are both male and female Goddess Clan members. The goddesses have been fighting against the demons for thousands of years, and even though the Goddess Clan was on the winning side of the ancient Holy War, they also suffered major losses. In order to seal away the demon clan, members of the Goddess Clan had to sacrifice their ability to maintain their physical forms. When the 7 Deadly Sins story begins, they are able to possess inanimate objects such as a sword, and they can use the body of another living being as a vessel, but they do not have a physical form of their own. Goddesses are said to have the longest lifespan out of all the races, and every member of their clan seems to be able to live for thousands of years. The Goddess Clan has its own special elite force known as the 4 Archangels. The 4 Archangels are all powerful male angels and the highest ranking members of their race, second only to the Supreme Deity and her direct descendants. Their strength is said to rival the 10 Commandments, which is the elite fighting force of the Demon Clan. Members of the Goddess Clan are known for a number of unique abilities, including the power to heal, the ability to fly, and the ability to purge and destroy dark souls, such as the souls of demons. Their power is associated with light and holiness, and their abilities can be extremely effective in fighting against the Demon Clan in particular. There is also a subgroup of the goddesses known as the Celestials. They are descendants of the Goddess Clan and they lived in the Sky Temple, where they were almost completely isolated from the rest of the world. Although they were allied with the goddesses, because they lived in such a remote location, the Celestials were removed from the worst effects of the ancient Holy War. As a result, they survived the war and did not lose their physical forms. But over time, their wings became smaller and their magic became weaker. So once we meet the Celestials in the present time, they are considerably weaker than full-fledged goddesses, although they still have long lifespans and similar powers, including arc and various healing abilities. The Celestials play a major role in the Prisoners of the Sky movie, but they are also directly referenced in the manga, so they are considered canon. At some point, the Celestials came to believe that the demons won the ancient war and that the surface of the world was conquered by them. This is part of the reason why the Celestials chose to remain at the Sky Temple and live in isolation from the outside world. And speaking of the demons, let's discuss this incredibly powerful clan. Although many of them look monstrous and demonic in some way, the members of the Demon Clan are actually quite diverse and their appearance varies greatly. There are many different types of demons, from lesser demons who are identified primarily by their color, such as the gray demons, red demons, blue demons, white demons, and so on, to higher ranked demons who often have a humanoid appearance. Many of these humanoid demons still have some distinct features which distinguishes them from humans, such as demon marks on their bodies, but some demons like Meliodas can assume a completely human-like form. Because of this, Meliodas can easily pass for human, and initially no one around him even knew that he was a demon, despite the fact that he was living among humans and interacting with them every day. Aside from the external features, demons also have unique internal features that differentiate them from members of other races. For instance, demons have more than 1 heart, and higher ranked demons can have up to 7 hearts. Demons tend to live about 1,000 years, although the highest ranked demons have demonstrated the ability to live for multiple millennia. As we learn in the early arcs of the 7 Deadly Sins story, humans are able to consume the blood of demons and become stronger because of it. But those who are not compatible with the process will reject the demon blood and their bodies will explode. A human who has been exposed to demon blood and has managed to master it within their body is able to use certain demonic attacks like Hellblaze. During the ancient Holy War, the demon clan battled against all the other clans combined, including the humans, fairies, giants, and goddesses. The demons were ultimately defeated and almost completely sealed away inside the Coffin of Eternal Darkness, with only a few exceptions. A red demon who somehow managed to avoid being sealed away ended up destroying the Fairy King's forest. And Fraudrin, the selflessness of the 10 Commandments, had been sealed away separately but managed to escape when his seal was broken by some humans. He then went on to possess the body of the great holy knight Dreyfus, framed the 7 Deadly Sins for the murder of Zaratras, and he ultimately released the other 9 members of the 10 Commandments from the Coffin of Eternal Darkness. And of course there's Meliodas, who is also a member of the demon clan, but was not sealed away along with the other demons. The ruler of the demon clan is the Demon King, and the demons come from a place known as the Demon Realm. The Demon King is the most powerful demon and the father of both Meliodas and Zeldris. At one point, the Demon King took half of his power and split it into 10 pieces, then gave each piece to one elite demon warrior in the form of a commandment. This is how the 10 Commandments were created, and they serve as the Demon Clan's special forces who are specifically trained and equipped to destroy the enemies of the Demon Clan. Meliodas himself was once a leader of the 10 Commandments before turning his back on them and betraying the Demon Clan in order to be with Elizabeth. Members of the Demon Clan are extremely powerful in general, and they are known to look down on the other races. Demons tend to see humans as especially weak and pitiful, and they are known to feed on the souls of humans in order to replenish their magical powers. That said, there are demons who reject this type of thinking and who actively avoid war. Meliodas is of course a good example of this, but there are others, such as an entire village full of demons who decided to desert from the battle during the Holy War and live peacefully in the Dalflair mountain range. Powerful demons like members of the 10 Commandments can control lesser demons, and many demons possess a number of unique abilities including demonic darkness, the power of flight, the power to generate deadly dark flames called purgatory fire that can injure even an immortal without them being able to regenerate, the ability to steal souls, the ability to transform into the unbelievably strong Indura Beast of Destruction after sacrificing 6 of their hearts to do it, the ability to regenerate, and so on. And now that we've covered both goddesses and demons, we need to talk about a new race that was created as the result of the unprecedented union between a demon and a goddess, between Meliodas and Elizabeth. Their son Tristan is given a special classification in the sequel called the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse. He is referred to as a Nephilim, the impure child of a demon and a goddess. Tristan is the only known character in both the original series and the sequel who is a natural-born Nephilim. We have seen other instances of someone using both demonic and goddess magic like Mael/Estarossa, but Tristan is the only true Nephilim from birth. This means that he has unique powers and abilities that no other character possesses. He has the power of both light and darkness. Now, some might question whether just being a hybrid offspring of a demon and a goddess qualifies as being a member of a separate race. But I do believe that Nephilim deserves special attention because it was introduced as its own unique concept. Even though there are other hybrids in the series, like for example Lancelot, Tristan wasn't just referred to as a goddess-demon hybrid. Tristan was referred to as something specific and something that already exists in our own world. And to me, this indicates that Nakaba wants us to pay special attention to Nephilim. In our world, the Nephilim have historically been described in many different ways depending on the source and the mythological tradition. In some sources, they are described as giants. In others, they are described as fallen angels. In others still, they are angel-human hybrids. And finally, in some sources, they are angel-demon hybrids, like with Tristan. Actually, Tristan's case is extra interesting because his father is a demon and his mother is a goddess in a human body. So Tristan technically has goddess, demon, and human characteristics. And that human aspect could prove to be important because of the unique connection between humans and chaos. Oh, and speaking of chaos, as I mentioned earlier, in the world of the 7 deadly sins, chaos is a primordial being that created the world and all of its races, clans, and species out of nothing. Merlin describes chaos as an impure entity of darkness that even the demons fear, and a pure entity of light that even the goddesses worship. Chaos was likely inspired by Greek mythology, in which chaos is a void state that comes before the creation of the universe. The first generations of gods in Greek mythology actually emerged out of chaos, which is similar to how the Demon King and the Supreme Deity were created by chaos in the 7 deadly sins. However, chaos in the series is more than just something that exists before the universe is created. Chaos still exists and still interacts with the world. But after it is sealed away by the Supreme Deity and the Demon King, it takes the form of the Mother of Chaos, the same creature we've known all along as Hawk's Mama. The Mother of Chaos is also the mother of all the monsters, and monsters are another group of beings that exist within the world of the 7 deadly sins on top of the 5 major races. There are various subgroups of monsters, including vampires, beastmen, and creatures who live in purgatory. The vampires were allied with the Demon Clan during the Holy War, but they are not actually part of the Demon Clan, and they were treated as subordinates by the demons. Vampires look like humans, but they also have sharp fangs, and they are able to turn humans into vampires by biting them. The humans that they turn will then be compelled to serve them. The vampires tend to feed on human blood, and as a race, they are stronger than humans and have a much longer lifespan. The most notable member of the vampires is Gelda, who is of course the lover of Zeldris. Beastmen are creatures who have a humanoid body but the head of an animal, and they also have claws, fur, and other animalistic features. The only beastman that we really got to know in any significant way in the story is Zhivago, a foxman or werefox who took Bon in as a child and raised him. Zhivago was shown to be able to transform into a human, even though that is not his true form. So it is possible that, like fairies, all beastmen have the ability to change their appearance in order to look like humans. Beastmen have strong animalistic abilities and instincts, but they were driven to the brink of extinction by humans. Historically, humans have feared the beastmen and seen them as monsters, kind of like stories about evil werewolves in our own world. And so the beastmen have been hunted by humans, and they've been driven into hiding and forced to steal from others in order to survive. Aside from Zhivago, who is a werefox, the other beastmen that have been mentioned in the story include Zhivago's son, also a werefox, and a wolfman or werewolf that Meliodas and Liz were sent to hunt down in the past. Creatures from Purgatory are monsters who were created by the Mother of Chaos and who inhabit the incredibly extreme and inhospitable environment of Purgatory. These creatures often have features similar to the animals in our own world, but they can be a mixture of different animals, and they are often massive in size. They can also live for millions of years. That said, they can also look pretty normal, say like an ordinary pig that just happens to be able to talk. Hawk is actually a creature from Purgatory who was stolen from his homeland by the Demon King and brought to Britannia to spy on Meliodas. Hawk himself was not actually aware of this until later on in the series. Finally, there are some beings in the 7 deadly sins world that don't fit under any real labels. Such as, for example, the Lady of the Lake, who was also created directly from chaos, but doesn't seem to belong to any specific race or group. There are also creatures who were created artificially through the use of extremely powerful magic. A great example of this is the goat's sin of lust, Gother, who was actually a lifeless doll, but he was brought to life by the demon Gother over 3,000 years ago. And as the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse sequel manga continues, I'm sure that even more interesting races and creatures will be introduced to the story eventually. I look forward to seeing what Nakaba has in store for us next. If you want to see more 7 Deadly Sins and 4 Knights of the Apocalypse videos here on the channel, leave a like and comment right now. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified when the next video drops. If you're looking for a video to watch next, then don't ignore this video which ranks the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse from weakest to strongest. Check it out right now. You can click the link on screen or in the description.